Hey everybody, Rosemotter here, and welcome to a Q&A video. It has been a long time since I've done one of these. My last one was back in 2020, I believe. I was celebrating 7,000 subscribers, so we got a lot more people to the channel since then, so I figured it was time to do an updated one. If you are interested and you would like to see my first Q&A video, I will have it linked down below in the description. I'll have it up on screen somewhere. You guys sent me a lot of really great questions, and some of them that you guys asked I have answered in my previous Q&A, so you can refer to that video if you want to see an answer to a previous question. But anyway, I've got a bunch of questions to get through, so let's go ahead and let's get started. Alright, so first question is from Dark Lord Luminous, who asks, what makes a character the most interesting in your opinion and why? To me, characters that are like three-dimensional, not somebody who's like 100% either like perfect Mary Sue, does no wrong, or someone who's just pure evil with like no reason to be, just they are evil. I like people that are multifaceted and they feel like real people and not just tropes or stereotypes. You know, like I tend to lean toward characters who tend to be like, I guess, nice characters. They're the ones I gravitate towards, but I can definitely enjoy characters that I might not agree with their actions or their motivations, but I understand why they do it. That is the thing, is like I need a character where like when they do something, I can understand why, even if I might not agree with it, whether it's based on their core beliefs, their personality, or their backstory. Yeah, even better when like a game will go into a character's like how they became the person they are and why they do the things that they do. A really good example for this is The House in Fata Morgana, which is a visual novel that I've played on the channel, and I'm currently doing the prequel, I guess, to it. Is it really goes in depth into the characters from multiple sides. So you see a character from their point of view, and you see why they do certain things. And then you also see the character from like another person's point of view, and you can understand both sides. You're like, I don't agree with what this person is doing, but now that I know more about them and how they were formed, like how their beliefs were formed and how they were molded by like their environment and stuff, I understand why they do those things. So that is the main core for me, is like a character who feels like a character and not just like a very paper thin like trope or stereotype of like a person. All right, next question is from LPeppy7819. With the audience you've garnered so far, do you feel satisfied with the amount of people that watch and engage with you? Do you like a more compact set of views and comments, but you can talk to and recognize, or would you like a bigger audience but lose the factor of knowing the people that watch you and have a community that is more easily managed? I believe I answered a similar question in my first Q&A, but that still stands even back like, you know, now that my subscribers have more than doubled since then. I do still prefer like a smaller, close-knit audience. I do like to go into the comments and I recognize the names, and people who are keeping up with like my very long Let's Play series, they recognize people in the like comments too, and they will like talk to each other and refer back to previous conversations. And I love that. I feel like with a bigger audience, you definitely lose that. And I've also said that I find this isn't always the case. Like there are YouTubers with really big communities that are still very wholesome and nice, but I find for the most part, the bigger your audience is, the more potential there is for assholes and toxicity. But not to say that also can't happen in smaller communities. Sometimes that can happen where there's almost like a clique. But I don't feel like that's the case here. And like, I know people can disagree with stuff, and they might not all be on the same page, but for the most part, you guys are very nice and civil with each other, and you have nice conversations, and I really appreciate that. Thank you guys so much for just being good, chill people. I know, especially with certain games, there's a very like niche genres and niche games I find can also bring like very intense opinions and stuff, but you guys are pretty good for like being respectful of me and of other people. So I feel like if I did have a bigger audience, it would lose that a little bit. So yes, I definitely do prefer like a smaller audience. It's funny, I said like, I've said it, I think maybe in my previous Q&A, and I've definitely said it to like people that I know in real life back like years ago, where I was like, oh, if I ever hit 10,000, I'd be happy with that. I don't know if I would be able to handle more than that. And I'm still feeling like everything's pretty cool now. Like I'm close to 20,000, and I'm like, I feel once you hit past like 100,000, then it might get a little out of hand. I don't think that's ever going to happen, but I am very happy with like, if I hit 20,000 and that's about where it stays, I'm okay with that. That's still way more than I ever expected when I started YouTube. So I still very much appreciative of my audience, no matter how big or small. Okay, Jeff Geronimo 94, congratulations on the new subscriber count. Is there any new game you are interested in playing in the near future, and will you be doing any Pokemon games? So as for like upcoming games, I am definitely excited about, to be honest, I definitely tend to like lean more towards older games, as you guys can tell. Games that you guys recommend, and I feel like the older I get, the busier I get. It's hard for me to get excited about new games, but there's always like a couple every year that I'm excited about. And this year, the two big ones is the Resident Evil 4 remake, which is coming out, I believe, in March. And there's another one I'm really excited about, which is called Master Detective Archives Rain Code, which is being done by the people behind Danganronpa. So definitely I'm excited about that, for sure. And I recently picked up Persona 3 Portable on Steam. I have talked before about how I've not been the biggest fan of like the original Persona 3, but I am willing to, like, apparently the portable version is kind of like the, what's the word I'm thinking of? Like the best version to play. So I'm willing to give it another chance. Because it's such a long game though, that is a game I will be probably playing like on my own time. I don't think I would have space in my schedule for YouTube to fit a Persona playthrough, even though I'm sure a lot of you guys would love to see that. But I know it's an older game, but it recently came out on Steam, so that is another game that I definitely want to try. As for Pokemon, so I love like Pokemon, and I would like to do more Pokemon videos. I have done a few. I recently did a Nuzlocke, like within the past year, I did a Nuzlocke of Heart Gold. Or was it Soul Silver? Either way, whichever one of those. And I had a lot of fun. It was just a lot of editing. It was so much editing. It took a lot of time. So I have kind of had in the back of my mind, because I watch a lot of Pokemon challenge videos on YouTube, is I'd love to be able to do more of those. But like the people who do Pokemon challenges, that tends to be like what they focus on. So they have more time for that. I love the idea of maybe doing like, one I saw was like an all metronome challenge. I think would just be interesting, but it would just probably take forever. Not to say that it's completely off the table, but I would have to definitely have like more free time for me to do like a very heavily edited video like that. Okay, next is Asborn N, has a couple of questions. So first, pineapple on pizza. I've never tried it. I don't like pineapple, so I assume I probably wouldn't like it on pizza. My husband is very big on pineapple on pizza. Second question is, you mentioned in your anniversary video you have found your niche, but are there any games, anime, movies, etc. that you've enjoyed separate from the channel that you have been excited about or wanted to share, but haven't had a good opportunity to? To be honest, I don't watch a lot of movies or TV shows on my own time. Like, it's funny how I'm like, oh, I don't have time to like watch a movie or TV show, and yet I will sit down and watch back-to-back like YouTube videos for hours, but it's hard for me to like sit down and watch a movie or TV show. But I will say that I don't know why it took me so long to watch these, because I love mystery stories, as you guys know. But I recently watched the two Knives Out movies. Really enjoyed those, and I love that that's becoming like a universe, and there's like another sequel that's been announced. So I'm super excited about that. Really recommend the Knives Out movies. I'm sure a lot of you guys have seen them if you like your mystery stories. It's on anime, but also recently the new Last of Us show is out, and I'm sure people have heard like on internet and stuff, like it's just getting rave reviews across the board, and it is very good. Whether you've played the game or not, I feel like it would appeal to people on both sides. They do a really good job of like replicating it, and it's fantastic. So I know that one just started, but that one is very good. And as for video games, unfortunately, like I don't really play a lot of new games. I tend to just kind of go back to my standbys when I'm not playing games for the channel, like Skyrim, Stardew Valley, things like that. So I don't really play a lot of like newer games behind the scenes. Whenever I do play them, it usually tends to be for the channel. Another question is, if I recall correctly, at one point you considered joining the Elden Ring hype. What are your current thoughts on doing those kinds of games for the channel? I do still want to play Elden Ring. I really want to do like a noob tries episode on Elden Ring, because I've never played any of the From Software games, never played like Dark Souls or anything like that. I'm keeping an eye out. I'm waiting for the price to drop a little bit. A friend of mine has been getting on my case. He's been telling, like, every time I talk to him, he's like, "Have you played Elden Ring yet? You gotta play Elden Ring." Unfortunately, he's got Xbox, I've got PlayStation, so I would love to just be able to take his copy, but unfortunately that doesn't work. But I am keeping an eye out for that. Once the price gets low enough and I can pick it up for relatively cheap, I will probably do like a noob tries episode on Elden Ring. And the final question from Asborn is, can you spoil what you have in store for us in 2023? Seeing that Umineko is coming to a close soon, and the When They Cry series has been a cornerstone in your weekly series for years, it's hard not to be curious. So once I finish Umineko, which should be, I imagine, relatively soon, I plan on doing like a kind of a reread series, which is like going to be an edited and condensed version of Umineko, where it's like I go over the story and then like maybe catch things in hindsight. Now that I know like all the answers and stuff, like I'll see things that I didn't notice before. I think that would be fun. And then there's a Higurashi Rei, which released last year, I believe. So I've got to read through those. And then there's Syconia. It's just the first chapter of Syconia When They Cry that's out, but I do plan on reading that as well. So other than, you know, the standard like When They Cry games, like I mentioned, there's the Master Detective Archives Rain Code, which is coming out later this year. So I'll definitely be doing a Let's Play of that, and it will be nice to do a Let's Play of like a new game. That so very rarely happens for my channel. And then as for like the big visual novel to kind of replace Umineko or like the When They Cry series, the front runner for that will be like Fate, the Fate series, like Fate Stay Night will probably be like the big visual novel that I will be playing afterwards, because like I really enjoyed Fate Zero and people have been requesting for me to play like the Fate series for a long time, so that's probably going to be the next big one. Alright, next question's from Sloven Gastrana RR. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry if I butchered your name. I really don't like the way that YouTube has done the new, the way that they do like usernames. So first of all, what are some of your favorite characters from the games, VNs you've played so far? Second, are there any games that have influenced you as a person? And what visual novels would you recommend to new players? So I'll limit my favorite characters to games I have played for the channel. Battler from Umineko is the one that comes to my mind. He's probably my favorite protagonist from like any visual novel I've ever played, because with a lot of visual novels, the protagonist tends to be kind of like a blank slate stand-in for like the reader, but he is like a very three-dimensional nuanced character. Like he can be kind of immature and goofy and bumbling, but he's also like surprisingly smart and well-read, which when you first meet his character you don't assume that. He has like really strong morals, and he's very like family oriented, but he also gets over emotional, and that tends to kind of be his downfall. But then you see him grow throughout the story and mature and learn to I guess like see other people's perspectives, not just like from his own perspective. And I love a good like character arc, like more like character growth. I love that. So like really quick, I'll quickly rattle off like a couple of other characters from some other like games that I've played on the channel. Mion from Higurashi, Kaede and Fuyuhiko from Danganronpa, Herlock Sholmes from Ace Attorney Chronicles, Kaname Date from the Somnium Files. Oh gosh, there's probably so many because I've played like so many games on the channel that have like really strong characters. I'll just leave it at that. Games that have influenced me, I would say the big one is probably Shenmue for the Dreamcast, is like what really got me interested in like more story-based and like open world games. And then as for like good starter visual novels, I'll just go in the order kind of like that I discovered visual novels, is like the Ace Attorney series, 999, I guess like the Nonary, what's called the Nonary games series, which is like 999, Virtue's Last Reward, and what is the last one called? I can't remember, but that's more of like puzzle based. and then Danganronpa, and then go into like the When They Cry series, because I feel like it's good to start off with a visual novel that is like more heavily gameplay oriented, and then like you can kind of like go from there and go to something that's more of like a true novel without like a lot of gameplay or character choice, because you don't want to scare somebody off and just give them something and be like, you're basically just reading something. It's like, you just give them a little bit of gameplay first, and then slowly kind of like get them, if they like the type of stories, slowly get them more into like the true visual novel. Alright, Rain FPS 7841 asks, what is your favorite horror game you've played and why? So given that I don't tend to play a lot of horror games like outside of stuff for the channel, my list is pretty small, and I don't know if these games would truly count as like a true horror game, but I would say either Resident Evil 4 or Until Dawn. For like a true kind of horror like visual novel, I would have to say like Saya no Uta is probably my favorite one. Okay, Sakataro 3 Music 486. Who is your favorite Umineko character and why isn't it Goda? Well, obviously it's Rosa. No, seriously. You guys know I love George. Okay, no, for real. So I talked about my love for Battler already. He's a pretty basic answer, so I will say like another character that's tops for me is Angie. I've liked her from the beginning. She had such a cool introduction, and I just think that she's like a really cool character. Like, yeah, she comes off as kind of like unemotional and like an angsty teenager, but like there's depth to her as well. Like, she's flawed, she's sympathetic. Once again, you understand her reasoning for why she is the way she is. So I really like Angie. I guess I just love the like, I love Battler and Angie. I just love the siblings. They're my favorites. And even though he's like a pretty minor character, I really liked Will too. Internal00 asks, where does your love for visual novels come from, specifically visual novels with horror or psychological horror elements? Was there some specific media or event that set you on the visual novel track? So I have mentioned this in my previous Q&A video, but I'll just say it again. So my love for visual novels, it kind of stemmed way back in high school when I was on a website called Newgrounds, and there was a lot of kind of like fan-made visual novels or like dating visual novels, and I played a lot on there, and then it progressed to like really good visual novels on the DS, like the Ace Attorney series, the Anonary Games series, and Hotel Dusk. I really liked those, and then I kind of got away from them for a while, and then I got brought back with recommendations from you guys. So Danganronpa like got me back into visual novels, and then for like psychological horror, it was definitely like Higurashi was the one that started it for me. It was another recommendation from a viewer, and like once I got into that, it was like a whole world opened up of like a genre I didn't even know existed, and now it's like it's my favorite one. Alright, and the final question from Lunev8704. Would you ever play more RPG Maker games in the future? I know you've covered Corpse Party before, so would a similar game be interesting to you? For example, Mad Father, The Witch's House, or Misao? Sorry if I said that one wrong. Yeah, for sure. So I feel bad I've gotten away from the RPG Maker games because you guys recommend those a lot. Yeah, I definitely will be playing some more, and the ones that you mentioned are pretty short games too, so I think those would be really good future live stream games. And actually, thanks to this question, I actually popped on Steam and I bought those games. So look forward to those in the future. Those will probably be future live stream games. I also want to play Lisa the Painful, which is also, I believe, an RPG Maker game, but that one is a bit longer, so that would have to be its own series. It would just, when I'm going to be able to slide that into like my schedule, that is another game I think would be a good one to play. Alright, so that is going to do it for my Q&A video. It's a little bit on the short side. Thanks to all of you for sending me your questions. I did have to just narrow it down. Like I said, there have been some questions you guys asked me that I've already answered, so if you want to check out my first Q&A video, I will have that linked. But thank you so much for sending me all the great questions. I hope you enjoyed kind of like a look behind the curtain, as it were, and if you do have any other questions, you can leave them down below in the comments, and if I get enough of them, maybe I could do like a part 2 of this, because this was really fun. So yeah, thank you for your support. Thank you for helping me get to, well, I'm almost at 19,000 subscribers. It's crazy to think. When I did this less than 2 years ago, it was only at 7,000, so pretty wild. So thank you guys for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed, and I will catch you in the next one. Until then, bye. Special shoutouts to my top tier patrons: Kiori Makoto, SM, Revealing Storm, Tequila Mockingbird, Asborn Kennedy, Harry Gazif, iCognito, Jared Fan, Joel Oostman, and Zoran Ether.